Welcome, welcome, welcome. I am, yes, War Duck, and that is Mr. Crow.
Hey everybody, how you doing? That just starts the day
Just
perfectly.
had to make sure I got that right this time. All right, so this is the bird's eye view, and we came, with all the stuff that's going around, and that big giant train derailment in East Palestine, in the United States, in Ohio, not actual like Palestine. Anyway, um, like this headline really struck me when I saw it, and I was like, "There's no way." But apparently, um, there are three train derailments in the United States per day. That blows my mind because I never
Yeah.
hear about anything like this until, like, I literally haven't heard of a train derailment in years until the Ohio one, I don't think, that I can remember at least.
Yeah, and the Ohio one that wasn't the headline that got me. Train
Yeah, right.
derailed, It wasn't even the thing that got my attention.
Right.
That has blown my mind.
But apparently there's three per day, and that just really, I can't wrap my head around that actually happening. Um, because I mean, I travel a lot, and I drive by train rails every day. I have to cross two to get to my mom's house. Like, these are just things that I never hear or see. And so to hear that there's
Yeah.
three a day just blows my mind.
See, in a big uh public transportation here in Utah is a train. And so it's interesting because to hear this kind of stuff, because I'm like, well, that's a big part of our like the bigger part of Utah's transportation.
Yeah, well, and then when I was living in Washington, I took the train every single day to work and back.
Mm.
And like, I never heard about a train derailment. I mean,
Yeah.
you hear about the trains hitting a car on the crosswalk or something, or the crossway,
Oh yeah.
the crossing. There we go.
The, yeah. The crossing.
Yeah.
Um,
But so this says in 2022, so last year, there was
mhm.
1,164 train derailments across the country. That is crazy.
And that's just U.S., right?
Yeah, that's just the U.S. We're
That's
not.
just
I mean,
U.S.
I know there was the one that the in Europe that they just had a whole bunch of fatalities on, but we're only talking
Yeah.
the U.S. Um, and it's like I don't know. Like, trains are huge. How does that not make the news? Well, I know how it doesn't make the news. They're too busy, telling you about who killed who and who's on
Yeah.
trial and what president tripped going up the stairs to Air Force One or whatever. Um,
Again.
but here, I mean, here's
Yeah.
another
It's
thing: is
weird.
they like the industry leaders say that most derailments occur within the confines of rail yards and suggest that trains are safer than other modes of transportation, such as driving. I don't know about that. This last year, train derailments
Yeah.
injured 16 people and left one person dead. Okay,
Maybe if you look
if
at the
no,
fatalities,
no,
maybe
no, hold
that's
on. If you look at it as you were either on the train or in a car when the accident happened, then it's
Mhm.
safer. But everybody else around you be damned.
I don't think I'd want to ever experience that because the last, I don't know. I guess I've never really been on a train for transportation from like one state to another state, like traveling for
Mm.
real, not just for the day of work or whatever.
Yeah, we do like
There's
pleasure
no
train.
seatbelt. Yeah, there's like
No,
no
it's no seatbelt.
seatbelts that I'm aware of.
They're
I
usually up
would
walking
hate to
around
experience
or
it.
sitting
Yeah,
down.
people are walking around all the time. It just
I
I'm
mean,
thinking if you get
a
derailed,
train derailment
you're
would
bouncing around.
suck if you were on the train, for
Oh yeah.
sure. For sure. But I, I think that they're kind of leaving out all the people around the surrounding area that are affected by train
Pause.
derailments. They're kind of leaving
That
that
would
part
make
out,
sense.
right? Because I've seen some places where literally the train is 40, 50 feet off of people's backyards.
Yeah.
So if a train derailment happened there, there's some houses that are going bye bye.
Yeah, we've got some trains that are pretty dang close to some people's houses around here too. And that's the that's public. That's the transportation for like industry stuff. I can't think of like cars and stuff like that.
Here you go. Human error was the leading cause of derailments in 2022, with
Another
track
reason why we need AI.
with track defects being the second most common reason trains went off the rails.
Track defects.
Track defects.
What's an example of a track defect? Do you have that by chance?
Tracks can break and cause train car wheels to derail.
Like
Trains
like this was
wheel
something too.
axle
I asked
may
you. I'm like,
fail over time. No, it doesn't say exactly what it is. Now, here's where it gets interesting. The railroad industry says this is the safest period in history of train transportation, which is
I'll give him
crazy.
that since I looked at the numbers in the 70s.
Overall, accidents have fallen by 44% since 2000.
Okay.
But when I was growing up, I don't remember there being a whole bunch of train accidents either.
No. See, where I grew up, we used to live right in the area where all the trains were. We used to use it as young
Playground?
kids. Yeah, always playground all the way. But we used to also use it as a means of transportation.
Oh,
Like as kids, we would jump on it and ride it so far down the rail, and then just jump off.
that
It
hobo
was
life.
yeah, pretty much. Yeah, came
So
across those too though. You don't mess
since
with some of them, man.
since late 1970s, derailments have shrunk by more than three quarters. Federal data shows in 1978 alone there are a whopping 8,763 derailments that killed 41 people.
Oh, 8,000?
That's crazy. That's,
Wow.
I mean, like, okay, I was there a significant amount? There had to have been a significantly. I can't forget. There had to be way more trains running at that time then, because that number seems
That is
impossible nowadays.
insane. Yeah.
So were there more trains back then than there are now?
So I'm just doing the number. That's roughly 22 train derailments a day to reach 8,000 in a year.
I thought 3 a day was bad, but 22 a day, that's crazy. That's like
That
that's like
is
that's like a half a train derailment per state almost.
so if we do the math, 3 accidents every day for a year in the US, that comes out to be 1,095. And you're saying last year there was like 1,160. That's
Yeah.
pretty close. Like the
Yeah.
numbers are meeting. The math is meeting that requirement.
And so
I still
so
don't know if this is the safest way to travel.
I know, and then now they're like, oh, now there's a renewed push because of the hazardous waste spill. I was like, okay, so train derailments and wrecks be damned, but hey, we had this hazardous spill on a train, so now we need safer trains. Like, right? Like, it just it just seems a little. Why wouldn't you just why wouldn't your thing be, hey, we have train derailments a day. We need to push safety
We need to
standards
be
and make that
yeah,
zero, right?
yeah.
But no. hey, we had this hazardous spill, so now we need to be safer.
Now we got this. You just think
So,
so the air they say airplanes are the safest way to travel. Now
which,
wait until they
okay,
start getting
now
chemicals.
think about that, right? Think about that. Is okay, flying through the air versus running on the ground, and somehow flying in the air is safer. That just does not make any sense. You know, but it does in a way. Like if you think about it, right? It's like, hey, we're flying. That plane needs to be perfect, right?
Yeah.
Oh, we're on a
I look at the
train.
train,
Oh well.
I look at the train tracks, and I look at the trains that they're flying. Like they are just barely like they're really just running on like an inch worth of stuff. It's so little that they're really coming in traction of things.
Yeah. So,
I was told that because we used to put pennies on it too to
yeah,
have the trains
yeah, I
flatten
remember
our
that.
pennies, and I was told that if done improperly or
Can
whatever,
shoot
like
off the rail and
it, it could shoot off, but you could also derail the train.
with a penny.
I was told that you could
With a
derail the train.
penny.
I don't know if that's a myth or not,
All
but
right. So if you can derail a train with a penny, then there's a lot more issues than.
I'm gonna look up that myth.
Okay. So, we thought we'd take a look at their thing of the safest way to travel, right? And so we were looking up large truck accidents, and there's a lot of large truck accidents every year.
Yeah.
414,000 property damage only crashes in 2018, with large trucks involved. There was 112,000 injuries, and so that was very interesting. Um, they said that 6% of large truck drivers involved in fatal crashes tested positive for at least one drug, but that might be misleading because, like Mr. Crow and I were talking about earlier,
What
caffeine, is
drug
that
is it?
considered a drug, right? People trying to stay awake or something. So,
Or something to that effect, like
right.
yeah.
So then we thought we'd take a look at aircraft. And of course, 2001 was the September 11th with the most deadliest year in the last 20. But if you look at since 2010, there's been uh, two fatal plane crashes, each with one death each. In 2009, there was one fatal plane crash that killed 50 people. I'm sorry, but that's by far the safest way to travel, apparently. By far. By, by,
That's because you're strapped in and
by
you
a
just
significant margin.
put your head down.
Yeah. So, yeah, and that's the U.S. air carriers. So yeah, I mean, in
That's
2001 they had six fatal plane crashes, but three of those were September 11th. And then they had three in 2005, but only 22 people passed away. And then ever since then, like, they pretty much got it down to like one or so. It's either one or zero, is kind of what it's been for the last, what, 15 years or so.
wow. That is
With
pretty impressive.
with a total of 53 deaths, 50 of them coming on one crash.
What was that plane that just completely disappeared? Malaysia something.
Yeah, but that wasn't a U.S. carrier, so it wouldn't be
Did
in
that
that.
did that even
But
count?
no,
Does
it
that
would.
even count?
Well,
Because
it
there's no
would if it was a
fatalities to get
U.S.
from it.
carrier, a U.S.
Yeah,
carrier. But yeah,
that's funny.
yeah, those people obviously passed away wherever the heck they went, but in the ocean somewhere.
Yeah.
But another thing is I would like to see that as in crashes with no purposeful terroristic thing, like accidental crashes, you know?
Yeah.
Like how many of those were accidental and not somebody doing something to purposely crash an airplane.
Yeah, is that due to an engine? But yet, I don't know. I travel a lot with the airplanes, and so I don't want to look into
Yeah,
it. It's
I absolutely hate air travel. I hate everything about airplane travel. I hate the hotel. I hate the lines. I hate the luggage thing. I don't.
oh,
I just hate it. But
it's
it's very interesting. Very
yeah.
interesting to see these kind of statistics, and just like I said, I saw that 3 per day, and it just blew my brain. I just can't really grasp if that's happening.
And it's crazy to hear that it's happening, but we're not hearing it.
Yeah,
You
and
know,
I
it's
like their little caveat. Oh, most of those happen in the train yard,
yeah, yeah. Well, what about the ones that don't then?
but
But
do they happen in the train yard? Like, why are like are you really reporting like, hey, the train slightly derailed in the train yard and we picked it up and put it back on there? Are you really? Is that part of the statistics, or it seems a
yeah,
little sketchy there, but
well, and that brings up the question that you and I, or the idea that we brought forward at first too, is even knowing that this chemical spill, that's what got our attention, but yet come to find out is because it was a derailment. It wasn't even the real reason why we found out.
yeah, and of course, like like almost, well, I would say every single train derailment is preventable because it's either a maintenance thing or it's a human error thing, and so either way, it's preventable.
I'm just gonna throw out the idea of like, what about when animals get on there? Like
Doesn't
some of them have the cow.
doesn't derail a train.
I don't know if it does zero. I don't know,
Doesn't derail. I would say
but I
even cars that get hit by trains don't generally derail a train.
no true. The
So in
semis and all that kind of
animals,
stuff that I've
and,
seen.
and they're designed to deflect soft targets
Hmm.
anyway.
They are.
Now, what was very interesting is I watched them put uh, a derailed train back onto tracks. It was
Okay.
very, very interesting. They had these two big um, um, crane things that picked up the engine.
Okay.
And then they had two of these excavators, and they were on either side of the wheels, and they put it back onto the tracks and pushed the wheels up underneath the train, and then they lowered the train down onto the wheel set. So I don't think they're bolted onto the wheels. I think they're weighted down onto the wheels.
That is kind of creepy.
Yeah,
Like,
and so like they just put them on there, and
oh,
then they got the lines out of the way for the hydraulics or the air. I'm not sure really. It's probably air, and then they just rolled it away, and I was like, "What the?" It was very
that
interesting.
is kind of mind blowing of like how that it like hmm
Yeah. In fact, hold on a second.
that's mind blowing. If that is how trains are put on tracks, which I could see the carriers. I don't know what they're like. That I could see them being put on there because they're not always the same size,
On the
and
carrier? What do you
I
mean?
think they're kind of like the carriers of what they carry. You know, like
Oh,
the I can't remember what they're called. The
oh.
because I think don't they just take those off the boats and put them onto the trains from there?
Yeah, the cars.
Yeah,
They put them onto a flatbed, but yeah.
yeah. So that's how I was saying. That's what I'm saying is I could see that being the way that they work, but I don't know. That's kind of creepy about the engine and all that stuff. Like you would think that the engine and everything was bolted together. Like this,
Right,
this is
you would, but apparently that is not the case. Like, it's just weighted on here. Okay, so let's...
Wow. I wonder why it takes forever for them to stop. They're not even
Mm,
bolted onto the dang thing
yeah,
to
right?
stop.
Alright, so this is them picking this train up and moving it above the tracks.
Man, what a tedious.
Right, I was trying to find the spot where you can see where they roll the wheels back under, but I'm not sure. Yeah, well,
I
anyway, look yourself up some videos of them
wow.
putting a train back on the tracks, because they literally just get a bunch of excavators and cranes and then like pull it over, get the wheels underneath of it, and then set it back down on the wheels and then roll it away. It was very interesting to watch. I watched probably 3 or 4 of them the other day because I was like, it was just blowing my mind a little bit. I was like, what the hell?
Wow.
So,
That's pretty interesting though. I
yeah.
never knew that. That's
Yeah.
mind blowing.
I never thought about like I just you never think about, oh, how do they
No.
how do they clean up a derailed train? Well, apparently they just pick it up and put it back, like,
It's
like
like
your derailed toy train. They just pick it up and put it
I was
back on the
gonna say it's
track
like
and on you
huge,
go.
huge set of Legos.
But yeah,
Wow.
so that was a bird's eye view for the day. Is yeah, I just that 3 trains a day just kind of blew my mind, and then to know that some of them are carrying fuel and or other hazardous
Yeah.
chemicals and stuff, it was like didn't really give me a super warm and fuzzy that there was a...
I think last week I heard that there was another train derailment and it was up here in Ogden is what how it came across. Like another train derailment in Ogden, Utah, and I don't know if it had chemicals or anything, but that's all I
But that's the
so
other thing is those, how much diesel does one of those carry, and when they derail, does that just spill
oh,
out, or does it, like, I don't know.
I'm sure they're carrying quite a bit too.
It just seems like if it's 100% preventable, then I don't understand why that's not happening.
Yeah, we should be targeting that number a lot. Well, and I don't know. Now that it's I would say too late, and but there's a lot of attention on it. That's probably something that's going to get addressed and looked into.
I'd certainly hope so. But it's just like everything, right? It's like the United States does not spend the money on restructuring our like, I forgot what damn it, I forgot the word. Infrastructure. We don't fix our infrastructure, whether it's
No.
rail, lights, water, sewer. We just don't fix any of that until it breaks. And
Yeah, I've heard things about our electricity and our water that that stuff's gonna it's it's under a lot of demand right now, and the structure's going to break eventually.
yeah. All right,
Yeah,
all. Much love. Leave a
it's
comment.
going to
What do
be
you think
interesting.
about 3 train derailments a day? We'll catch you next time. Much love, all.
Yeah. All right, everyone. We'll see you next time. Bye.